I'd like to call to order the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners. Roll call, please.
Jebin Singh,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
McMurtry is absent, Miller,
Here.
Moran, Zhang,
Here.
and Ortega.
Aye. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Before we begin the meeting, I'd like to reflect a little bit on the events of this weekend. Minnesota and Ramsey County lost a great leader this weekend in Melissa Hartman, and the death of her husband, Mark, who were murdered in what comes down to calculated political violence. And also my good friend, State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, who were also attacked. You know, I know all of us have worked with both of them in the past, and all I could reflect on is with Melissa, how people say she was very approachable, but you know, over the years, I never approached her. She always approached me, which shows the type of leader that she was. She knew she wanted to connect with all parts of the state, and she would always come, and we would have very good conversations. And many around this table know her quite well, better than I do. But it's just when I was called at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, whenever it was, to let me know what had taken place, I kind of freaked out privately. I just couldn't believe it. She will be grieved and lost by all of us. And of course, Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who thank God survived, but we pray for their recovery. I do want to read something that their kids put out publicly. For those of you who haven't seen it, and I'll just read part of it that I thought was touching. Hope and resilience are the enemy of fear. Our parents lived their lives with immense dedication to their fellow humans. This tragedy must become a moment for us to come together. Hold your loved ones a little closer. Love your neighbors. Treat each other with kindness and respect. The best way to honor our parents' memory is to do something, whether big or small, to make our community just a little better for someone else. And that really capsulizes the lives of Melissa and her husband Mark, but also of John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. So let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. Now I'll move to the land acknowledgement. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate those comments for people that we all knew and loved, and send our love and prayers to their families. Thank you. This is our land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We want to acknowledge the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, and the other nations of people who also called this place home. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the treaties made by the tribal nations that entitle non-Native people to live and work on traditional Native lands. Consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events.
Thank you. Proclamation for Juneteenth, Commissioner Jebin Singh.
And I welcome.
I am,
Oh, sorry.
well, you know, we could have done, yeah, we could stay there. I was told that I didn't get the agenda approved.
Also move the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
McGuire.
Aye.
McMurtry is absent. Miller.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
Jebin Singh.
Aye.
And Ortega.
Aye, I'll entertain a motion on the minutes of June 10th.
So moved. Second.
Hearing no discussion, roll call.
McGuire.
Aye.
McMurtry is absent. Miller.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
Jebin Singh.
Aye.
And Ortega.
Take it away, Commissioner.
All righty. All righty. I welcome colleagues and community members to join us up here for this proclamation. And as we're gathering, I'm just going to say just a couple of things before I pass this to my colleagues. This weekend underlines the importance of all of us standing by our values. And we know now more than ever, as many of the people standing behind me know and have always known, that there is a cost to standing up. And I am really honored to stand up with this community and the Ramsey County leaders and all who work within our organization who have not shied away from our mission and values in this time when we are being declared to, and we say no. This is not extracurricular work. This is not fluff or pomp and circumstance. Days like this and proclamations like this are foundational to our work. It is foundational for us to take time to reflect on policies and practices that have led to systemic inequities and harm, and to take that into consideration every day when we do the work to intentionally make policies and practices that work towards healing and equity. So with that, I would like to pass this over to my colleague, Commissioner Moran.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, community. And thank you so much for being here. Today, we are celebrating Juneteenth, which within itself is a celebration for injustice that happened. I want to talk about a little bit about the colors. I wore my black, green, and red because they have meaning. And so for Black Americans, the color black, green, and red are deeply symbolic, particularly in the context of the Pan-African flag, also known as the African American flag. So red represents the blood that unites all people of Black African ancestry and the sacrifices made from the liberation. Black symbolize the people and their existence as a nation. And green represent the abundance and the vibrant natural wealth of Africa. And so as a great-great-grandchild of a slave, it is important to me to take part in the celebration today, proclaiming Juneteenth. As a state rep, I had the honor of leading on making Juneteenth a state-recognized holiday. And as a community member and a mother, the acknowledgement of our trials and tribulations, but also our liberation and freedom and the contributions that we have made to this country is valuable. And must I say that as citizens, we have a role to play to make sure that we are creating laws, policies, and practices that are fair and just, that represent all of us, including the Black community. And so I share that Juneteenth is about freedom, marking the days in 1865 when the last enslaved people in Texas were told they were free, over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And I want us to take that in. They had been freed 2 years earlier, but the state of Texas did not recognize that. And that happens in laws and policies all day, all the time. It's a moment to honor the strength and resiliency of Black Americans, to reflect on the legacy of slavery, and to recommit ourselves to justice and equity today. We recognize that Black history is America history, and it's essential that we continue to learn, teach, and honor the stories year-round, not just on Juneteenth. A big thank you to the Black Excellent Employee Resource Group. A big thank you to my colleague, Representative Tara Jefferson, for her leadership and her commitment around fairness and justice and equity and standing with us. Thank you. Thank you for helping shape today's proclamation and for your daily work in making Ramsey County better. We also recognize our Black commissioners, along with Commissioner McMurtry, who is the first African-American male commissioner in this state. And finally, we honor the legacy of Hallie Q. Brown Community Center, which has stood for nearly a century as a powerful force for education, cultural, and community empowerment. So as I read this proclamation, I invite all of us to reflect, to celebrate, and to keep pushing forward together, because this is about us moving in strength and empower together to keep fairness and justice for all of us at the forefront. So I wanted, you gotta come read this with me.
All right. Whereas on January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation declared freedom for enslaved people in Confederate states, yet remained in bondage until June 19th, 1865, when the last enslaved people in Texas were finally freed, marking the day we now recognize as Juneteenth. And
whereas Juneteenth celebrates the resilience, the hope, and the enduring struggle for freedom of African Americans, and serves as a powerful reminder of the legacy of slavery and the continuing pursuit of racial justice. And
whereas in 1866, Black communities organized the first Juneteenth celebrations featuring music, cultural food, and prayer, and today Juneteenth is recognized nationwide thanks to the generations of advocacy, including the work of Opal Lee, widely known as the grandmother of Juneteenth. And
whereas the Hallie Q. Brown Community Center, founded in 1929 and named after educator and civil rights leader Hallie Quinn Brown, embodies the spirit of Juneteenth through its commitment to education, empowerment, cultural celebration, and civic leadership. And
whereas the Community Center has played a vital role in preserving and uplifting African American history, including hosting Juneteenth celebrations that honor the past while inspiring progress to a more just and equitable future. And
whereas the continued celebration of Juneteenth and the unwavering work of institutions like Hallie Q. Brown remind us not only of the power of liberation, but the responsibility to remember our history, honor those who came before us, and ensure such injustices are never repeated. And
whereas Ramsey County acknowledges that white body supremacy exists in a racial hierarchy and recognizes that achieving freedom and equity for all requires acknowledging persistent systemic injustice and committing to ongoing work through education, policy, and partnership to dismantle systemic barriers and uplift communities. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed
that Ramsey County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim June 19, 2025 as Juneteenth Freedom Day in Ramsey County, and we call upon all residents to reflect on the historical present-day fight for freedom and dignity, celebrate the cultural and civic contributions of African Americans, support organizations like Hallie Q. Brown Community Center that advance racial equity and community strength, and committed to actions that foster justice, inclusion, and the collective healing. And be it further proclaimed
that Ramsey County Board of Commissioners declares June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth Day in Ramsey County.
All right.
Thank you so much. This is really a special moment in time, and I appreciate it very much. Good morning, Chair Ortega, Commissioners, and County Manager Becker, and everyone here and everyone watching. It is truly an honor to be here today to celebrate Juneteenth with all of you. With all that's happening in our country, and yes, with all that's happening in our community, it's now more important than ever that we stand together to affirm our commitment to equity, justice, and the truth that Black history is American history. My name is Karen Francois, and I'm the Deputy County Manager for the Information and Public Records Service team. I am also proud to serve as an executive sponsor of the Black Excellence Employee Resource Group here in Ramsey County, alongside William Moore. I am also grateful for the incredible members and allies who lead with courage, compassion, and a deep commitment to meaningful change. And I want to recognize Benny Roberts, who is the Executive Director of the Hallie Q. Brown Community Center, along with their staff, their board. The board chair is here, his parents are here. I just want to thank you, Benny, and all the work that you do, and for your leadership and the lasting impact that you have made in our community and continue to make in our community. Commissioners and County Manager Becker, thank you for making this space for this important moment and for helping to ensure that our values are not just spoken, but that they're lived. We have a lot of work ahead of us to do to ensure freedom for everyone, and I'm proud to stand with all of you to continue that work. Thank you.
I'm not sure we're free yet, but we'll keep striving. Hallie has been known as the lighthouse of our community, and it still is, 96 years later. But I'm not sure we're free yet. As we ponder what it means to not just serve those on the margins, but also celebrate the fullness of our identity, we shouldn't be known by our struggle. The fact that Rondo is seen and heard, though its official boundaries do not exist anymore. The fact that the spirit of Rondo is anchored in Hallie, withstanding the test of time. We are in a renaissance right now. If you look across the city and across this county and across the state, you'll see a fabric of leadership that was spurred out of the excellence of the Rondo community and the steadfastness of Hallie Q. Brown Community Center. That's excellence. And that legacy lives on, and we can take that legacy with us. As we work towards freedom, let's remember that the celebration is a reminder that freedom and bondage aren't that far away. So let's celebrate this sacred time, but let's continue this work to make sure that freedom is attainable for all. Because none of us are free until we all are free. Peace.
I'm going to take a couple of points of privilege here, I think, because we have some elders here that I think I just need to uplift and recognize. One being Elder Debbie Montgomery here, come up here, and also our Elder Nick Kalik. I would like to, Nick, yes, who has? These two of many of the community members here have just have a legacy of leadership, of empowerment that they have chosen to do and have led in that way. And so can we give them like just maybe a couple of minutes to say just a couple of words, if you don't mind? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, thank you, Commissioners. It's my honor to speak before you, but on this day that we're honoring Juneteenth and all the issues that are continuing to take place in this country right now, it's just important that we recognize the challenges that we have and the ones that are ahead, and to recognize all the great work that you all do, and also to support us in our endeavor to be successful and to continue to strive for the betterment of not only our city, our county, and our state, but the country as a whole. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, thank you for allowing us to be here this day and to honor a great institution. I am going on 82 years old, and I've never, ever experienced a time in which we're living in today. And I just thank Almighty God that organizations like the Hallie Q. Brown, that has been an anchor and a lighthouse in our community, is still here, and the legacy will live on. I just pray for our city, our county, and the state, and the country, because these are very difficult times. And this is a time when everybody is important. There's no throwaways in this country. Even those that try to impose that mentality on us, God has a place for them. And so I want to thank this board, thank my sister Rena, my brother Benny, for lifting us all up and making sure that those that come after us will have a place that is very safe, productive, and one that encourages each and every one of us to do better and to be better. Thank you.
So, good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Don't want to be before you long. Just want to say a couple words about why this specifically is so very important to us. We already kind of talked about what actual Juneteenth is. But I want to say, I want us to recognize it took one of the bloodiest wars in American history just for us to receive freedom on paper. And I say on paper because we need to remember that there were still Jim Crow laws when slavery was abolished and during Reconstruction. There were actually more black and brown people lynched during the Reconstruction of post-slavery than there were during the time in which we're enslaved. As we look forward and we talk about Juneteenth itself, and also think about we're coming on the heels of a Memorial Day holiday, a holiday which I think is so very important. Celebrate myself as both my parents are veterans, right? Many people don't know that holiday itself was invented by those very same black folks who were freed who started the practice of going by and laying flowers in memoriam to black men who served on the side of the Union to ensure their freedom that didn't come until 2 years later for those who received the message in Galveston, Texas. As we think, even further towards that, we think about products that we have, well, not products, but policies that we have today that we all benefit from, such as Title IX, which we get Title IX funding to fund so very many of different initiatives to help different marginalized groups of folks. But I guess a lot of people wouldn't also realize and know that Title IX would not exist if it were not for the Civil Rights Act. Plain and simple, right? And so I believe it was a great Minnesota politician that said, when we all do better, we all do better, right? I believe that's a very true statement, but I'll actually take it one step further. I think history has shown, and I know because I was a history major, studied it, that when we look back in history, the stories tell that more specifically, we all do better when this country does better about African Americans. And so I just want to make sure that those words are said and highlighted. And I appreciate you all giving us the time in Florida today.
All right. Do we have any other comments before we try to take some pictures before these fine folks go down with their day?
Oh, I'll just thank you, Mr. Chair. I was honored to be able to speak at the Juneteenth Festival or event celebration in Roseville on Saturday. Celebrated early. I know the actual day is on Thursday, but we were so grateful to have so many amazing people. We had artists, we had vendors, we had great food. It was just such a great celebration of our Black community, and I was just so honored to be there in Roseville. And just want to thank all of you for your leadership and your perseverance. And we all have to keep on keeping on. I know we're all in this together, so thank you all. And I want to leave time because I do want to hear who's all in this group. So I want to make sure that we get to do that. You're all amazing. You make us all better. Thank you so much.
Mai Jean?
Thank you all for being here and for showing up every day as your whole selves as much as possible, even when the systems have been designed to not let yourselves show up very fully. I'm so honored to be in the presence of our elders here, from Councilmember Debbie Montgomery, Councilmember Nathaniel Kalik. You remind me of so much about what our ancestors have gone through, and that regardless of the challenges, that we all can come together and still fight forward. So thank you for being that reminder and for being that light again and again for us to keep striving forward together. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much. Being the longest served commissioner on this board, I've had the honor of working with many of you, and you've been mentors to a lot of people, including myself. And there are others that are not here. I just think of, when I look at you, I think of Kwame McDonald, for example. He used to sit right there, and after every meeting, my first term, he used to come in and sort of give me a little lesson. So I just want to say thank you, because the role you play in our community is not just in the African American community, it's in all of our communities. So thank you very much.
All right, we're going to do
Why everyone introduce themselves?
So we're going to do a quick picture and then be ready, because then we'll make sure we hear from everybody.
So I want to make sure I get everyone. So if you're in back, a little short, you can come up to the front and kind of stand up a little bit. I'm not calling anyone.
I'm mocking you this whole time.
Yeah, think more choir.
Oh, okay. We know that reference.
Yes.
Very well.
Small trip, a half turn.
Try one and let's see how this goes. Okay, good. I'll count down from 3, 3, 2, 1.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna do 2 more.
You got
Just double check.
got that Google Pixel.
And last one. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, we're gonna, before you leave, we're gonna have everyone come by and introduce yourself.
Let's let our elders go first.
And then we can part as you introduce yourself. Come on. Okay, come on, Debbie.
We are Benny's mother and father. Thank you. 45 years. Well, we're so honored to also participate today. And we're so proud of Benny and his leadership and just believing that he's going to just carry that torch on. And I'm just so blessed to be here today.
What's your name?
Felicia Roberts.
And I'm Stanley Roberts. You took the words out of my mouth. So.
Hi, my name is Jolie Davis. I'm an undergrad student at McAllister College, and I'm interning at the Hallie Q. Brown Center this summer, and I'm working on a project with them to historicize the Rondo history in a game for the youth, just because I feel like it's very important that the youth stay tied to their history, especially the ones who were raised in Rondo and in the St. Paul area. It's very, very important, because I don't want that history to, leave us. And so, it should just keep going, and I'm so happy to be a part of that, and that I can keep it going for Hallie and Rondo.
So quickly, we're just gonna share our name. And maybe if you have an org, but just name org, and then we're gonna keep moving it. And then we're gonna keep going. Yes.
Good morning, County Manager, Chair Ortega. I'm Jerica Gomez. I work for CED. I am a Rondo legacy, and my grandmother was an organizer and a business owner.
That's it. Come on, Central.
Good morning, Gabrielle McNeil, Deputy Director, Public Health.
Good morning, Michaela Campbell, aide to Commissioner McGuire.
Hello, my name is Alexis Varner, and I am with Commissioner Jevin Singh.
Sasha Catton on the board with the Hallie Q. Brown Center, lifelong St. Paul resident, and with the African American Leadership Council, proud descendant of Rondo.
Jesse Ross, Director of Advancement at Hallie Q. Brown, and a longtime family member of Benny Roberts.
Sophia Thompson, Ramsey County Social Services.
Hi, Karen Franklin, member of Black Excellence Resource Group.
Come on, let people come through.
There she is.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deidre Ann Frater-Rowe. I'm going to do something non-traditional, but since Hallie Q. Brown is here, I just wanted to share that I work in community corrections. We're having an amazing event, amazing justice event on July 17th at the Hallie Q. Brown Center. And, we're focusing on a community storytelling, focused on celebrating our young people who are on probation, acknowledging them in their transition. And I just wanted to put that out there. We are doing some great work here at Ramsey County, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Hi, Ivory Love, she, her, Planning and Evaluation Analyst.
Good morning. My name is Jeanette Boyd-Kania from the Finance Department.
Good morning. Michael Stewart, Ramsey County Community Corrections.
Good morning. Subhan Aksan, Philson Ibrahim at Environmental Health.
Good morning. My name is Susan Sharp, Social Worker, Child Protective Services, Ramsey County.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Tykalo. I'm the Grants Manager at Hallie Q. Brown Community Center.
Good morning. I'm Cassandra Adler. I'm the Community Advisory Council Coordinator, and we are our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Good morning. My name is Sydney Colquitt, and I am the Marketing and Events Manager for Hallie Q. Brown Community Center.
Other way.
Good morning. I am JC Henderson. I'm a commercial real estate appraiser in the Ramsey County Assessor's Office.
Good morning, everyone. Noelana Gates, Public Pathways Coordinator out of Workforce Solutions.
Good morning, everyone. Arlene Hubbard, Ramsey County Child Protection Worker, and just want to invite you guys out to our Juneteenth event held by Black Excellence tomorrow at the Keller Park. Number 6 is the shelter number. So thank you. 12 o'clock, 12 to 5, 12 to 6.
Well, that's 12 to 6. Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Jada Lewis, Civil Division Director. I do want to list up Hallie Q. Brown Center. That's where I sent my son when he was little to get child care. So I just wanted to.
William Moore, Race and Health Equity Administrator for the Health and Wellness Service Team and also co-sponsor for the Black Excellence EIG.
Benny Roberts, Executive Director, Hallie Q. Brown, 4th generation Rondo descendant from the Hill, Archer, and Garrett clan.
Debbie Montgomery, former City Council member, born and raised in the Rondo neighborhood, and a descendant of the Hallie Q. Brown Center, and all my kids went there, so we've got generational wealth going on.
Nathaniel Kalik, a lifelong resident of the Rondo community and a participant and a recipient of services at Hallie Q. Brown for over 70 years. Thank you.
And good morning, everyone. My name is Deborah Isabel. I'm the board chair at Hallie Q. Brown, and I had the pleasure of hiring Benny, which I think was an excellent decision. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Commissioner McGuire,
Yes.
Administrative Agenda.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. On behalf of the board, I move item number 4, agreement with Sheehy Construction Company for security fencing at the Ramsey County Law Enforcement Center campus. One item, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
McGuire.
Aye.
McMurtry is absent. Miller.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
Jebin Singh.
Aye.
And Ortega.
Aye. Okay, legislative, do we have a legislative?
We do, Mr. Chair, because Jenna Rourke and the legislative team is going to present.
Right. Okay.
So I just want to say, as they approach the podium, how grateful we are to our government relations team. And I know they're coming up here now. They worked tirelessly this entire session. They also knew the legislators that were impacted this weekend. Speaker Hortman and her husband Mark, they knew them. They knew John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, and I just want to give my condolences to everyone who's feeling that pain. So thank you. Oh, and we have Maria Sarabia. Okay, so you can introduce yourselves. Yes.
The Director, Jen O'Rourke, is going to be presenting today, but I wanted to thank you for your time, Chair, County Manager, and Board. And we have a team approach here, so Jen's going to jump us off with some updates from this session, and then I'll chime in with some federal updates on some of the work that's been happening. Yeah, I'll do this. Let's see. I also just want to take a few moments to acknowledge that this is a team effort, so our names are highlighted in bold, but it's important to know that government relations is comprised of a team. So we have Amy Walslowick, who's in our audience, Jolie Wood, who also has been up at the Capitol. All the team has tirelessly been serving to get our priorities escalated and preserve some of our efforts here at the county. And then my update will be the federal response update. And so I'm serving and representing, but there's an entire body of folks and a team behind this work. And Deanna Pesic, who's our Chief Compliance and Ethics Officer, is really the lead staff on that. With that, I'm going to also just remind us that we, for context, are in unprecedented times. I know we've heard ourselves say this many times throughout the years. However, this does feel significantly, the data is showing us, the projections are that we're in some dire circumstances, and there's several realities that are happening in terms of our state budget pressures. We'll hear what happened through session and the one day of special session, but behind that is also activity at the federal level in terms of budget decisions and proposals, as well as federal actions, and Ramsey County is sort of in the eye of that storm. And so there's some looming challenges that are coming up for local government, particularly at the county level, and we just want to set that context. We do have some significant accomplishments this year during session and special session, but we also have several challenges that we need to be on guard of, and so we'll go into that as we spend our time here this morning. And now I'll pass it over to Director O'Rourke.
Thank you, Maria, and good morning, Chair Ortega and commissioners and staff at the table. Happy to be here this morning, and for the record, my name is Jennifer O'Rourke. I'm the Director of Government Relations here at the county. Today's agenda is a legislative recap of both for the state, but both the regular and special legislative sessions. With me in the audience is Amy Wozlowick, who covers the majority of our health and human services and public safety work. She will be my first call for help if I am unable to answer a question up here. And I just share Jolie Wood, who you've all known for a long time, joined government relations as well last year. She's on vacation, which is much deserved, and I know she's going to be very, very jealous. She wasn't able to help prepare for this today. I'd like to thank Maria for kicking us off here. And I'm going to go through a series of slides here. Feel free to ask questions along the way. That's probably the easiest way to cover things. So to start us off, before the activities of this weekend, I would say all of us who do this lobbying job really looked at this session as one of the most unique and kind of crazy times, whether you're looking at the federal level or the state level. There were just a lot of circumstances that are like no other. I'm not even going to get everything out there. But we had a tie in the House. Probably never has happened before. The result of that was all of the committees were co-chaired by a Republican and a Democrat. So if you think of everything on a spectrum or dealing with extremes, you really had to find ways to meet in the middle in order to advance anything. And that was a special challenge for us. Our delegation is 25 Democrats and 1 Republican. I would point out we did end up working with that Republican quite a bit towards the end of session, and we're able to strengthen that relationship. So I just share that example because a lot of you were involved, and I want to highlight that work, and it's something we're going to have to keep on keeping on as we move towards special session and the 2026 session. There was somewhat of a 4-week delay to the start of the regular session as House Democrats were not coming to the Capitol. There were at least 3 special elections in front of us, including one for 40B in Roseville. I know for all of you that was, added a lot of interest. And for those of us at the Capitol, it really made things really kind of wacky and difficult. Legislators were not always willing to commit to certain issues or advance things just because not knowing how the session would end. It just added a real layer of complexity. We had a scandal in the Senate that resulted in a special election. Never have had anything like that before with a legislator having to step down. And then my notes just say House Democrats not coming to the Capitol. It did end with a 2-year budget worth $66.8 billion after the special session that ended last week. Just yesterday morning, I heard on the radio the governor has signed all of the budget bills from the special session. That really means the 2-year budget is set. And that was really the mandated work of this first year for this session. We sometimes refer to each year as either a budget year or a bonding year. Next year would be the bonding year and more of the policy year. Maria pitched it up, and a lot of the reason we're here today is just to be thinking about a special session. But, going back to even February, March, and April, legislators were admitting we probably are going to have a special session this fall to deal with some of the federal cuts that could come the state's way. I'd like to give Amy credit. We take a lot of pictures at the Capitol, and this is probably the first year that we worked hard to get them into this actual presentation, so I think we have all of you in here. But I do want to thank all of you at the table, County Manager Becker and Maria. All of you came to the Capitol in some way, shape, or form, came to some important meetings, whether it was with governor's staff or to testify on bills, and there's just nothing like that, having the real-world examples and leaders at the table with us. Some of our accomplishments, we have 2 extensions that we had to pursue to keep funding that was already allocated for Ramsey County in the way of our youth treatment homes and youth technology training and workforce money. That's no small feat, as some of you know. This is a year where committees had negative targets, and what that means is they had to make cuts among their own budgets. So to be able to hold on to that money was no small feat. Something we'll have to keep in mind moving forward. We did secure our request to get EDA powers for the Ramsey County HRA Authority. Commissioner Zhang was a real rock star in that space, and it was great to work with our legislators and get that through. I will share, as you all know, that did pass during the regular session, and I thanked my lucky stars more than once as we were getting ready for special session. That was at least one thing we didn't have to deal with. The final bullet on here, the child support redirection. This was a priority coming out of the Ramsey County Attorney's Office. This really is more of a technical fix, but for those times when that child support needs to be redirected, previously their office didn't, or our offices did not have the authority to go back and make changes to that. They were able to secure that, and that just helps them monitor the situation and make changes as sometimes that's needed. I'd like to just give kudos to our legislative committee, chaired by McGuire and vice chaired by Commissioner Moran. They provided a really solid, welcoming space. We met super regularly every Friday afternoon, and a lot of staff were involved in that. Not necessarily the time that everybody wants to have a meeting and do a lot of thinking, but as government relations staff, it was sort of one of the only times we had to plan for the next week and summarize what happened the week before. So I just want to give them kudos for that. This is another slide I'm really proud of. As you all know, we do a lot of work with our partners, whether they be county organizations, city organizations in our own cities, or groups like NAMI and whatnot. There's just a lot of coalition work done at the Capitol. Coalition for the Homeless comes to mind. But it's a great way to share information and go talk to legislators together and use each other's relationships to advance things. So the bullets on this page really apply to all counties. But in the final tax agreement, there were no cuts to county program aid, local homelessness prevention aid, or local affordable housing aid. A shift that was brought upon us in special session would have shifted $8 million of transportation funding from Ramsey County alone to the Met Council. We were able to ward that off for the year. We started off in February fighting along with all the other counties for really big cost shifts in the area of human services. In terms of disability waivers and the sex offender program and whatnot, these were really big dollars, and all of those did not happen. There was $35 million secured to state agencies to deal with the SSIS modernization, and this is a social services information system. Really important backbone computer system that's important for our social workers and others in terms of the work they do. This would be probably one of the most important things for counties across the board that they got done this year. An extension of the 48-hour rule provision. This goes along with there's a 2-day delay for the state in reinstating the 48-hour rule and funding for the Miller building. This will increase psychiatric bed capacity at Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center. This also is super key. This was carried in the bonding bill. This will increase capacity and help us be able to get people out of our jail and into a facility where they can receive the mental health care they need. I would point out, because of this new investment by the state, there's likely to be a county cost to that kind of work, as we already pay for those. So you know all of this is interrelated and probably deserves follow-up conversations later. And then finally, there were changes to the Min Choices program that should lead to more timely assessments for individuals. People will be able to get the access to services they need sooner, and staff should be able to complete work quicker. Other general county accomplishments include more funding into the food insecurity at the community level, $12 million statewide. I can see her face from Bloomington. Chair Melissa Wicklin. Amy told me a story. She knew with the federal things coming that this was an area they could beef up at the state level, so a good example of legislators thinking ahead. There were changes to the community corrections formula to use a 3-year average for felony and gross misdemeanor per diem rates. That helps with budget and expense planning. And then finally, administrative subpoenas allow for wage theft investigations with Ramsey County Attorney's Office and other county attorneys' offices around the state. This picture is of Commissioner Moran testifying on our homelessness bill. I think on the Senate side, this was carried by Senator Mohammed from South Minneapolis. A lot of these are ongoing advocacy efforts, going into next year, I would assume, as we get ready to put together that 2026 platform. But next year is a bonding year. Our projects are already introduced as bills. Our number one was the park at River's Edge for $20 million, and the other one was Aldrich Arena. We did have a homelessness resources for counties bill. Hennepin and Ramsey, I'll say, did the most work on it. We weren't able to secure anything in this. Wasn't a complete surprise. It was really important to advance the issue and just highlight the hard work and important work our counties are doing. But they made significant investments a few years back in a Pathways Home piece of legislation with really big dollars. And Ramsey County applies for those and competes with our service providers. I believe they'll continue to do so, but I just wanted to highlight that. Commissioner Moran did testify for us more than once on that bill. And then finally, I have the bullet on here. We obviously didn't make changes this year in the CPA formula, but I know that's a priority for all of you, and I think that's something we can for sure be talking to legislators on as we get ready for special session and talk about the special needs of Ramsey County.
Excuse me, Jennifer, Commissioner Maestro.
Thank you, Director O'Rourke. I wanted to also add for the ongoing advocacy efforts of the payment in lieu of taxes. In addition to the CPA formula, I know that was a possible route, and also one that was highly recommended along with AMC too. Is that a consideration for next year? Not for the special session, of course, but then for next year?
Thank you, Commissioner Zhang, for that question. Yes, we've got really great advocates with Representative Kali Her and Representative Liz Lee, both serving on the tax committee. In the Senate, unfortunately, we don't have a Ramsey County individual on that, but that doesn't mean that we don't work with those others and that our own legislators can't be successful in that space. So I'm looking forward to working with you and others to advance those two. But they did make, there were cuts on the table for both PILT and CPA, at least on the Senate side, for a good portion of the legislative session. So getting more money into those programs wasn't going to happen.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Just some ongoing complexities that increase county costs. We want to point out the possible increase in costs for the Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center daily per diems I highlighted a minute ago. There will be increases in costs and ongoing need for child protection services. As you all know, they did repeal the local cannabis aid. These were dollars I believe we were planning on. Nothing huge, but it was going to be, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 or $3, $4 million. Local governments weren't getting that yet, so from the state's perspective, those are easy dollars to claw back, and that was part of what the governor proposed back at the end of January. They did redirect those to the state to help balance the state deficit.
Excuse me, Jennifer. Commissioner Moran, then Jebin.
Can you put that back up?
Josh, can you put the presentation back on? Thank you.
I thought she was controlling it. Can you share with us what the possible increase in costs in the Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center will have on Ramsey County? I don't know the connection there.
Yeah, Commissioner, I can speak to that. We're still doing the analysis, but I think the way we understand it is that the daily per diem has risen, and we'll have to address for it in our 26-27 budget. So we don't know the exact impact yet.
I think that what we're wondering, how many people do we send there? So it's a regional treatment center, so we don't have, it's for extreme mental health issues,
Yes.
right? And so we don't have a center, like, we don't have a place to put our residents there. So regionally, 7-county metro, maybe throughout the state, this is one of the few treatment centers in the state. So a lot of people try to send their people that need this treatment there, and there's not enough room. And so there's not enough room, so that's why there was an increase in some of the beds that they are able to provide, but also they're raising the cost for all of us.
Yeah,
So-
and I spoke to Director Thompson this morning, actually. They're still doing the analysis, and we'll get you that information, but her and I talked about that it is a budget impact that we're going to have to take into account.
About how many people do we send there? Do we know?
That's what I was trying to
that's
work
what you're
on with
finding
her,
out.
yeah,
Okay,
this
you don't
morning.
know.
So
Okay, we don't know
it's
how
very
many.
new.
Yeah.
That changes from year to year.
It does, and even month to month and day to day.
Yeah.
We have to
So
take
that's-
kind of some averages.
So that's the connection in Ramsey County, is that
Exactly.
we're sending
Yes.
individuals
Yeah, we send
over
people
to
there.
Anoka.
Right.
We have to pay for that
For that,
cost.
and that's
per day.
problematic, right? I mean,
Okay.
But just for clarification, and maybe you know this, Jennifer or Lynn, is it that the Anoka Regional Treatment Center either didn't get an increase in allocation or got a cut? Because that cost has to be made. So then it's trickled down to us, or to not just Ramsey County, to whoever utilizes the facility.
I think we're going to have to get more information. I don't think we have enough
The
information.
reason why I
Yeah.
asked the question is not just about Anoka. We have several other similar scenarios. And I'm just wondering what those budget impacts might be that we're not seeing just because of the legislative action.
Got it.
Commissioner Ortega, County Manager and Board, we understand the question, we'll bring back more information, but my understanding, based on conversations with directors, is that the per diem increases regularly, and so this is just an ongoing increase, the costs continue to grow, there were no cuts or anything previously, the costs just continue to increase, so we need to do our analysis around that new increase.
Thank you. Commissioner Singh?
Yes, so I just wanted to highlight the repeal of the local cannabis aid and question as to, prior to the cut, did we have a dedicated direction for this? Would this have gone to public health or?
No, I can speak to that, Commissioner. So you'll recall in the last county manager's budget, there was a very brief call out that potentially, should we realize substantial revenue toward this, it would offset the levy. And we never planned for it for 20, I think it was planned for 25 actually. And so since we haven't been able to realize any funds, obviously there was, none of that was happening. So as Director O'Rourke was saying, it feels like a thing that counties weren't actually getting directly, and so it was an easier thing to kind of take away, if that makes sense.
Thank you for
Yep,
that clarification.
yep.
and just to clarify on that, Mr. Chair, we weren't getting it, it wasn't actually being collected because we haven't really, the program hasn't gone
That's
yet.
true.
I mean,
That's
we're
correct.
still waiting for the program to go, so this was going to be anticipated revenue, which we couldn't plan for because we didn't know how much. But now the state's even taken that away, and we lobbied really strongly for this aid because we know that we're the ones that are going to, do the public health issues. We're going to do some of the enforcement. We're going to do a lot of this work for the sale of cannabis, and now they've taken that away. So we'll have to fight for that back, because we can't have that.
Well, I appreciate you lifting that up, because as a community member going through the process of legalization of cannabis, just to lift up that what we know now is different than what we knew before, which is that some early onset psychosis and other severe mental illness can be precipitated by cannabis use. And so the ability to have education and public health response in anticipation of what may be a broader response to greater access to young people is something that we'll have to prepare for. And so, yeah, I concur with Commissioner McGuire that this is something that we will have to address one way or the other, and we continue to keep that on our list of things to be watching.
I'll keep going if that's all right with you, Mr. Chair. Slide 12, human services cost pressures loom. We talked about some of this, and it's great to hear that discussion. It helps guide our work in the interim. So thanks for all of the questions and all of the discussion. I would point out, going back to those cuts that were proposed, big cuts by the governor and Health and Human Services, what resulted was actually, I think, a good thing, and it's an advisory council to deal with long-term services and supports. They're charged with identifying savings of approximately $180 million by December of 2026. So the level of impact on counties is a big deal. If savings aren't secured across the state, this could be something they make more cuts in future years. But this was brought forward by Senator Hoffman and Senator Abler, who, if you don't know, they're kind of a dynamic duo just in themselves. They neighbor each other out in Anoka County. One's a Democrat, one's a Republican, and they do a lot of work together in the Health and Human Services area. A lot of words on this page, but important ones. Looking ahead, there are ongoing state budget pressures we'll all be wanting to pay attention to. As I was practicing this morning, I was wanting to make sure we had all our billions and millions correct here, but I think they're mostly right. Minnesota receives roughly $26 billion from the federal government for matches to the state Medicaid program, and $19 billion in other federal funds. Chief of Staff Sarabia and myself, we had a handful of meetings this spring with one of the deputy chiefs of staff for the governor, just to kind of level set or set the table, if you will, for ways we thought we'd be impacted and the state would be impacted. So I'm glad we set up that relationship. These are all things we're going to want to be paying attention to as we move forward later this fall. In terms of surpluses and deficits in the out years, the long-term structural deficit for fiscal years 28-29 has grown to almost $6 billion. That's $800 million more than the previous estimates in 2024. Where this really pops up, especially for you new commissioners and those listening at home, when we talk about the November forecast or the February forecast, that's kind of a moment in time where the folks at MMB, which is the Minnesota Management and Budget, do a lot of publicity work in talking about the state budget. So that's sort of key points in time we pay attention to what's going on with the state budget. They are citing higher than expected inflation as one of the primary reasons for the worsening outlook. No surprise. Compared to the November 24 budget forecast, our current year revenues have increased by $640 million, but expenditures have grown even more, in the neighborhood of almost $800 million. So just something to be paying attention to as we move forward. I'll highlight this example. Some of you know that all of the counties have been getting something called local homelessness prevention aid. It's a special aid that Ramsey gets around $1.5 million, $2 million a year to deal with our homelessness work. It's a pretty simple formula, and it was brought forward by Representative Aisha Gomez during the COVID years. It's a program that they only had going for 5 years. And an example of the kind of work that we do, we were trying to take off the sunset of that program so it would be ongoing. We had, obviously, the House and Representative Gomez, who's a tax chair now, on our side when it comes to that. A lot of us local government lobbyists were working on that. But they didn't agree to it in the end because there are tails in the outgoing years for keeping this program going. So it's super unfortunate. These are homelessness dollars that we only will have for, I think, another maybe 2 years, and maybe something we can work on for next year. But it's an example of the state budget as a whole and how they really take those out years or future bienniums. Really, they take that stuff really seriously in terms of balancing the budget. I won't put Commissioner Moran on the spot, but she's been the Ways and Means Chair under Speaker Hortman, and it was a pretty special job, and we use that information a lot. She's got a lot of perspective on that. Just a quick slide to kind of talk about next steps and where we're going as a team. It looks like.
Yeah. Can I just pause 1 second before you move on next stage? So I think the two things I want to make sure, the board is clearly tracking here, particularly after our meeting yesterday at District 10, recognizing the strategic importance of looking at our budgetary pressures at the state level beyond just the 2-year budget cycle, and to be really thinking about what the out years are going to be as we do our own planning and thinking ahead. It's going to be really important because it's not like it's some of the things are clearer than others, but it's not like we don't know what's looming and what the pressure points are. And so, it will be unfortunate for those counties and areas that are not thinking ahead, because like some of the clues are being dropped along the way right now, right? And so we need to be thinking about that as we were working on our budget. Our team's done a really great job, and I think as we put the pieces of this morning's presentation together, you're going to see the importance of how the 3 parts that Maria talked about, the state budget, the federal budget, and the federal actions, they all interact with each other, and we have to be able to think. I like to call it, it's a chess game, and it's a board, and it's multidimensional, and you have to be able to think of how all the pieces go together, and when one moves over here, how something will move over here. So it's a very atypical, non-linear thing, even though it is kind of a linear timeline to an extent. But it's going to be really important for us to, recognize the theme of looming and ongoing pressures as we go forward. So thank you, Jen.
Just a few real quick comments about the team and whatnot. We move into a time here where we're doing a lot of summarizing, reading of the many omnibus bills, and working with our departments to make sure they understand new laws and new funding and changes to all of those. We'll be doing some planning for a possible special session. And in particular, I'm thinking a lot about how we talk to our delegation about our budget pressures and, whether those a simple Zoom meeting or bringing folks together. I think that'll be really important to do in the weeks and summer months ahead. We are around, the 3 of us government relations folks, for community meetings on priority issues and do a lot of that. I know a lot of what we do is behind the scenes in terms of partners, but if you all are having meetings that we can be helpful with in the community, please just reach out. And I'd point out in terms of our delegation, we have some very, very good, well-meaning legislators, and I certainly enjoy those relationships. And I want to thank you for all the times you do come to the Capitol, or you do send that text, make that phone call or whatnot, and obviously do things like testify. Our delegation chairs have been to this point, Senator Mary Kunesh and Representative Samakab Hussein. They've been a real good balance up there. I would point out when the House was not going to the Capitol and they were out doing community meetings and whatnot, Ramsey County was one of the first meetings, that first day of session that we hosted here at the Capitol, at the county building. I was pretty proud of that. And like I said before, as counties, we have a lot of partners from NACO, AMC, and all the affiliates. I know I speak for Amy and myself and Jolie. We really enjoy that work and are uplifted by it, and invite exploring new partnerships with others. We're going to shift gears and talk about some of the federal work right here. These next couple of slides will deal with congressionally directed spending projects that have been in the news as of late. The last several years, going back to, I think, fiscal year 21, local governments have had the ability to work with our delegations' offices and submit local projects for them to advance in what we've called earmarks in the appropriations part of the process. These are often referred to by 3 different names. In the good old days, we called them earmarks. Then there was a series of probably 10 or maybe around 10 years where they didn't have anything like that. And now we're back in a time period where they are using earmarks, both sides, meaning the Democrats and Republicans. It seems like there's just some agreement around this part of the budget. It's less than 1% of the budget that they just agree to do these sorts of things. But the other two names they go by are congressionally directed spending. That's a terminology they use in the Senate, CDS, and in the House, it's often referred to as community project funding, CPF projects. There are a few guidelines or rules that apply as we at the local level think about what might advance. Typically, the dollar amount is in the $1 to $2 million range or less. I've seen projects put forward that ask for $4 million, but really end up with only about $400,000 ultimately out of those committees. Congressional offices like Representative Betty McCollum, they're only able to advance 15. The Senate has a lot more leeway in being able to work statewide, and I don't know that they necessarily have a dollar amount or a number amount. Between these three offices, for us in 2026, they're advancing 4 projects. Other than a thank you letter and crossing fingers and whatnot, there's not necessarily any lobbying for us to do on these. But our delegation will put these into the Appropriations Committee process, and we'll learn more later this summer and fall as that part of the budget comes together. I would point out the fiscal year 25 projects were put forward and never funded because the continuing resolution budget situation that when they finally passed a budget in April didn't allow for those. The 4 that are alive out there, if you will, I'll go through rather quickly. Number 1 is the opioid addiction recovery response, an OR program. This is new and builds off violence reduction efforts in the county attorney's office and works with the Office of Safety and Justice and Public Health. The request there is $1.2 million. A wet bulb project. This is a leftover one for us from fiscal year 25, but is really in the area of climate work. It's a heat sensor project and serves vulnerable communities. That's $750,000. Number 3 was put forward by our friends at the Ramsey and Washington County Recycling and Energy Center. This is a joint project, obviously, and they've asked for $5 million in that process. This is an interesting one in that Senator Smith is the one who advanced it. Because this project is in Scott County, Congresswoman McCollum's office wasn't able to put that forward because her projects need to be in her district. So kind of a good, interesting one to look at. And then finally, Ramsey County Sheriff's Office put forward their own request this year for a mobile crisis response vehicle at $330,000 that was advanced by the 2 senators' offices. And if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to turn it over to Chief of Staff Sarabia, but it looks like there is.
Commissioner Maisha?
For the anaerobic digester, I'm guessing is that Congresswoman Angie Craig's district? So does she advance that for her priority?
Commissioner Zhang, that's a good question. We were going to check on that to see if she did. Because the Senate is pushing those forward, we don't necessarily need to have a matchup on the House side. It's always nice to have more support. But I think we're going to be meeting with Congresswoman McCollum's office really soon, and it's quite possible she could write a letter of support or do something like that.
Okay. Oh, I was just going to say, moving forward, that's a good point that maybe the 2 representatives could get together because this is not a geographic thing,
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, we're working closely with Scott County, obviously, because it's going to go in Scott County. So they're supportive and they can, they're partners with us and of course have a relationship with Angie Craig, as do we all, but yes.
It doesn't fit the current scheme, right? So maybe we could come up with some ways to get to that. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all I had, Mr. Chair. If there are other questions, otherwise I'll turn it over. I'll be right here if something comes up later.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I want to make some comments, and
Yeah,
I'm trying to think if I should do it after Director O'Rourke or after Director Sarabia, but I'll just make a couple now, just to thank everyone for all of their work. And
this was a tough session because there was just a lot of defense we had to go on, not through any fault of our own, but just through all the changes that were happening very fast and not always with a lot of notice. And so, you know, it was like we were fighting for no cuts in areas where we needed actually an increase, like in the county program aid. And, you know, there were certain areas where we actually wanted more resources to do what we need to do, and they were actually proposing cuts to it. So we were just say, we need more, we don't need cuts. So I just want to say how grateful we are for the team for just, you know, hanging in there and keep, you know, we were all there, and the whole board. I want to give kudos to all of us who were talking to all of our legislators and working with, you know, our Association of Minnesota Counties at the state level just to get this word out that this is important work that we're doing. And I love what Commissioner Moran says. She says we can make their dreams come true. I mean, they have this vision for what they want to have done, and we're the ones that are implementing it. And we need the resources to do that. So we can make their visions come true. And so, because these aren't even actually dreams. I mean, these are actually necessities for our public, actually, you know. And so, anyway, I just wanted to say thanks and acknowledge that we have a lot of work to still do, because this is a moment in time we need to celebrate what we were able to do, but next year and in the special session it's going to come back as we see the federal cuts, as we see the state continue to have, you know, a need for resources. We're just going to have to keep the pressure on and to keep our you know, advocacy going for the things that we need. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Maurice Rabi, I serve as the Chief of Staff, and we'll go into the federal response portion of our presentation. So we'd like to share that the last time we presented this information was back in April, and we were talking about some of the infrastructure and the response that we were standing up to make sure that we were coordinated within the county system and ensuring that there was communications products and flow of information, and ensuring that that information was accurate. We want to have a tamed, sort of measured approach to all of this. So since that time, there's been an employee web page stood up, as well as an external facing web page. And so folks who are at home or in the audience, they can use the QR code, and it brings you to just some reassurance that our residents can access in terms of what we're doing and how we're responding to a lot of different executive orders and a lot of different coverage and news media and opinions on what's happening at the federal level, and knowing that Ramsey County continues to stay open and serve our residents, and we value and appreciate and support our employees who are also working through uncertain times. So there has been a news article for employees that has been issued as well, and you can see a snapshot of a web page that was stood up. So a special thanks to, again, the Federal Response Action Team and the leaders within that area and our comms area, and a lot of coordination across the board. An example of this in terms of organizational supports is sometimes we have to change our processes or add a step to ensure we're doing things accurately. And so there's an example where a bulletin was issued, other very specific emails directing staff to take certain actions. But this bulletin was issued in May 7th, and it was just about ensuring we're doing our due diligence as we draw down federal funds and as we administer and coordinate our grants across the county system. And this work continues. And if we go a little bit deeper into the federal reconciliation bill, this is where we do a lot of prep work and try to be responsive and coordinated in just the everyday happenings. But in terms of actual policy decisions that are being made at the federal level, on May 22nd, the U.S. House passed the budget reconciliation bill. We call that the H.R. 1. It includes provisions that limit access to Medicaid, and that's our health care here in Minnesota. We call it medical assistance, and as well as our Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which we call SNAP. The bill imposes work requirements and new out-of-pocket costs for certain enrollees, And this expansion of work requirements also applies to SNAP enrollees. The way that translates, not only that's the impact on the residents and the impact on our county would be an increase in administrative costs and more essential eligibility work being done. As we know, in the state of Minnesota, these are state overseen and county administered programming. So all of the workforce and programming that occurs in the county is connected to this and the residents who utilize those services. I'd also say that because we also are working in a system that was recently.
Your slides aren't advancing.
Oh, they're not?
No.
Okay. Well, I wasn't ready, but we're going to go to this. But we work in a system that needs updated technology at the same time while the state is trying to increase the SSIS system and enhance it and make it more efficient. Adding new requirements on top of that, that is going to hit our workforce. It will cause delays. We're projecting that folks may see barriers or may be determined ineligible if they can't provide certain work requirements and if we're not able to process those things timely with our antiquated systems. So I wanted to share that piece, and this is a snapshot of some of our all-hands-on-deck data that we use around Medicaid and SNAP benefits, and understanding that 37% of our county residents are on medical assistance at least 1 month out of the year. There are currently 85,000 MA cases in Ramsey County. Again, this is a snapshot in time from recent work that we've done, and that we have 35,000 SNAP cases in Ramsey County. And the number of cases that, again, could lose eligibility are to be determined, but we know that the administrative burdens may result in longer wait times for critical services and benefits. And it could impact our system significantly. I'll pause there.
Okay, we are in the, excuse me, I'm going to have Commissioner Jevons, but we are in a time crunch now, okay?
I'll make this brief. I just want to underline what you had just said about the anticipated additional work requirements and the burden that will take for our residents who depend on these services and on our workload who will have to process this, and that this is something that we're very aware of and continue to advocate for, but are also preparing for. We're not, this is a big deal.
Yes, thank you.
Just, Mr. Chair, just the word, so a case is a person. There are currently 85,000 people in Ramsey County that are eligible, and 35,000 people that are eligible for SNAP, or am I thinking, what is a case?
I won't commit to the case being an individual. I think there's potentially family cases. It's been a long time since I've been in the eligibility system, but I would defer to program experts.
So we'll get some clarity on that,
Sure.
because I want to know if that's what we're talking about.
Okay, we can look into that. This is just a little bit more about Medicaid and SNAP around the eligibility rules potentially changing with the federal reconciliation bill. Again, there's an interest in just limiting access to Medicaid and other the safety net programming. It would create potentially out-of-pocket costs for certain residents and enrollees. It does, the verification piece is what is very challenging to adhere to, and we know that reductions could mean longer wait times for services and benefits, and just reiterating some of what we've said thus far. And in terms of how we're responding to this work, Ramsey County continues to work with our legislators and our delegation. We continue to make ourselves available, as you all do as representatives of your districts, and working with residents. We continue to analyze the impacts on our budget. We know that these are potentially very challenging changes that may be put upon us. And so we're wanting to hear from advocacy groups, work in partnership with advocacy groups, partners, and community organizations. We're setting up times in which we can leverage partnerships and do some work across our system, our ecosystem, to kind of soften some of the challenges that may impact us and work as a network rather than as individual entities. And so this is something that's really important and pressing to us as we prepare for the county manager's 26-27 budget process. And we know that depending on the outcomes of what happens with the federal sort of budget, as Director O'Rourke stated, that we may go back into another special session at the state level. Meanwhile, at the county, we're preparing our budget. And at some point, depending on how the timing plays out, we may need to make further adjustments. These are responses that we'd have to adapt to, and it may trickle down on our side as adjustments to our supplemental budget process, depending on the timing. So I wanted to share this information, and again, just reiterate that as we go through our process now, that we are really navigating the pressures of the state budget, these federal actions, and federal budget processes. And so we have more to come, but we wanted to give a highlight. Another just quick plug I will do is that, we as staff are trying to get a better accurate of numbers. Back in April, we presented a projection of how much federal dollars are running through our organization, and we're working towards, with the Chief Compliance and Ethics Officer, towards getting a more updated data snapshot of where those monies are and what potentially are more at risk or what other challenges we might be anticipating. So I want to pause there, because I know we're pressed for time, but also wanted to take the opportunity to present some of the inner workings of what's happening within the organization in this context.
Commissioner Moran.
Well, I want to just thank you for the presentation and the updates of the session. We're also looking at the federal government and the possibilities, because again, what happens at the federal level will impact our state, which will then impact Ramsey County and the services that we can provide for residents. And so I'm pretty much of an action person too. So I'm thinking, as we have people listening to us today, there's a role that they can also play right in this moment while the federal government is making decisions to, again, contact their congressional leaders. That means a phone call, that can be an email to them to talk about the impact of losing Medicaid. Like real life stories is what really has an impact on the decision-making process. So I don't want people to think that, oh, if I call, there's nothing going to happen. You matter. And the impact that policies and a budget that has on your life is really a big factor in determining the outcome of what this can look like. So I'm just calling on folks from across the state, not just Ramsey County, but across the state, to make those calls and share your own personal story with your congressional leader.
Just quick, because I want to echo and just add to what Commissioner Moran has said, and I heartily agree that everyone just let your elected state and federal policymakers know how this is impacting you. The stories are the most important, and even if you think they agree with you, say, oh, they already agree with me, they still want to hear stories. Yes. We still need to get them stories about how this is impacting you, and tell all your relatives throughout the state and country, quite frankly, to let their elected representatives know how these drastic cuts are impacting your lives. So thank you. I just wanted to continue on and echo Commissioner Moran. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now I have the county connections, and we have some special guests in the room.
Yeah, they've been very patient, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, so I want to make sure I acknowledge them. The county has a wonderful partnership with the City of St. Paul's Right Track program through our Workforce Solutions Department. I see Dr. O'Neill here, and also Noe Gates from our Pathways program. This program supports young people with hands-on experiences centered on building leadership, enhancing professional development and mentorship. Really grateful for the work that our team does across this county to ensure we have good interns here this summer. I know many of you were interested in this when we talked about our HR strategic priorities when it comes to building a future workforce. So why don't you guys come up while I keep talking here. We have 35 interns that are actually working for Ramsey County this summer. So, and then we also have another 40 interns. They're not here, but they're actually working for suburban Ramsey County out in businesses and organizations as well. But these are interns that are actually interning in Ramsey County, areas of policy and planning, libraries, mental health, public health, community corrections, veterans, libraries, parks, property management, public works, communications, enterprise services, and workforce solutions. Please introduce yourselves and say your name and maybe where you go to school, what department you're working in, if you know. Anyone want to start? Okay.
Hello, my name is Naira Loriano. My pronouns are she and her. I'm working in the department of the attorney's office. I'm right now in the civil and juveniles wellness, and I'm looking forward to getting to know more people and extend my interest in even more because I really like the program. I also was recently I was in the YACA program, and then I transferred to the Right Track program. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jackson McManus. My pronouns are his, him. The department I'm going to be interning for is the Parks and Rec department, more specifically Soil and Water Conservation Division. I really look forward to just the opportunities to help out my community more at a larger scale and to just be able to do my best to help out as much as I can. Thank you.
What school? Tell us what school
What
you go to. School?
Sorry. I go to Connections Academy online.
Hi, my name is Joseph Moore, and my pronouns are he, him. The department I will be working in is Parks and Rec. More specifically, Tamarack Nature Center, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know everyone that I'm working with and my team. And yeah, I'll be attending St. Paul College this fall.
Good morning. My name is Anna Cotter. My pronouns are she, her. I'll be also working in Parks and Rec at Tamarack Nature Center. I am really looking forward to just gaining more experience in Parks and Rec in general, because I really don't know what I want to do. So this should be able to help me figure out if this is an area I want to go into. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leon Vane, and my pronouns are he, him. And the department I'll be working in this summer is property management with the Ramsey County. And I'm really looking forward to see what it takes to take care and manage buildings.
And listen, don't be shy. Speak up so we can hear you. This is important.
Hi, my name is Yesenia Morissette. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm going to be working in the workforce solutions, and I'm looking forward to new experiences.
Good morning. My name is Caden Martin. My pronouns are he, him. I attend Century College, and I'm interning at the Juvenile Detention Center as an assistant probation officer.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Joy Daniels. My pronouns are she, her. I'm going to be working as a race and health equity intern. I'm looking forward to working in the public sector. Oh, and the college I go to is the University of Minnesota Duluth.
Hi, my name is Yusra Afrin, and the department that I'm gonna work is Health and Race. My pronouns is she and her, and I just graduated from St. Paul College.
Hi, sorry. Hi, my name is Noel. My pronouns are she, her. I'm working in the library department, specifically Ramsey Law Library, and I go to Step Academy Charter School.
Hi, my name is Samira Hussein. My pronouns are she, her. I attend Highland Park Senior High School, and I'm interning at Ramsey County Workforce Solutions this summer. And what I'm looking forward from this internship is building on my communication skills and also building on my networking skills.
Hi, my name is Anna Miranda, and my pronouns are she, hers. I go to Augsburg University, and I'll be working in the attorney's office for Ramsey County. I'm looking forward to getting some experience in the court and just seeing how they do their work in person. I see too many movies, so I would really, I would really like to see it in person. So I'm pretty excited for that. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am a rising senior at Twin Cities Academy High School in St. Paul. My name is Zeus Andrade Martinez. I am a future lawyer, legislator, future double major in political science and pre-law. The department I will be working for is the Ramsey County Attorney's Office, and I will be looking forward to gaining more experience and making connections. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Apollo Islam. My pronouns are he, him. I'll be interning at the property management, and I'm looking forward to getting experience to help with my career.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Elena Lotus Singh. I go by she, her. This summer, I will be interning at the Parks and Rec Center at Maplewood as a park admin assistant. The college I'm going to this fall is U of M Twin Cities. Sorry, my bad. No, that's my bad. And I'm looking forward to gaining more networking connections and broadening my collaboration and communication skills. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kabal, and my pronoun is she, her. The department will be working in workforce solution, something that I'm looking forward to get some experience in customer service, and I will be intended to CPAC College this fall. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Solomay Tessima. I'll be going to Minnesota State University Mankato next year for aviation. I'll be working at the Ramsey County Veterans Office, and I'm hoping to learn more about government operations and helping with client advocacy for veterans and their families.
Good morning, everyone. I'm kind of nervous. I'm gonna leave and I go to Humboldt High School. I'm a senior this year. Something that I'm looking forward for this internship opportunities, getting some public speaking experience and also communication skills and getting to meet new people. And I'll be working with the property management. Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Italy Smith, and my pronouns are she, her. The department I'll be working with is communications and public relations. I'm looking forward to learning, just building my skills and overall learning new things. And I'm a student at Concordia University.
Good morning. My name is Hafsa. My last name is Muse. My pronouns are she, her. The department I'll be working at currently is the Ramsey County Adult Crisis Stabilization Clinic. I'm looking forward to branching out, networking with my fellow interns in our cohort, and just seeing how this fits for me. I'm currently attending the University of Minnesota College of Liberal Arts.
Thank you all. Oh, yes. Let's take a picture.
Come on, supervisors. Shout out to the supervisors.
Thank you to the supervisors. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get the supervisors. What was that?
Try and get between a little closer so we can
Okay.
move up a little bit. And between the goals, please.
Get in tighter.
Squeeze in.
Squeeze in. It's okay. Nobody's gonna fight. Thank you.
Actually, can we get Felicia in there? She's a supervisor and she's up here. Anyone else want to join, Commissioner?
Thank you, guys.
That's all I have.
That's it? Okay. Kelly, I'm going to start with you, and we'll go quickly around.
Very
But
quickly, I
You,
just have-
you take it.
It's
Go
okay, I just
ahead.
have a couple of things. So I attended the Metropolitan Emergency Services Executive Committee Board meeting last Wednesday. Just a few things to note: that we approved the 2026 operational budget, and there is no increase to the assessed counties, so no increase on what we pay. And we renamed the capital budget to the capital needs forecast. It doesn't really make sense for it to be called a budget. I also attended St. Paul Indians in Action last Wednesday. I feel that it's really important to be in community, but I just also want to note and thank the Ramsey County departments and staff that attend those meetings and show up in community, and really, it was really great to just see so much of our county staff and departments present there to, work with and engage and inform of what the great opportunities available. So thank you for that, and I am done. Meet you.
Yeah, I'm going to be really short. I just want to just open up by sending out prayers for Senator Hoffman and his family, who has always been a champion for those in the disability community. We did work together on child protection. He was the chair of Health and Human Service in the Senate, and just an awesome leader, awesome person. And just a champion. So I just want to let them know that I'm sending out my prayers, goes out to them for a full recovery for him and his wife, and that we're with him. And that's all I want to do at this moment.
Thank you. Commissioner
No report, Mr. Chair. Thank you,
ahead.
Mr. Chair. Just want to echo Commissioner Moran's hearts and prayers go out to the Hoffman family, certainly John and his wife Yvette, and of course to the Hortman family as they are grieving Melissa and Mark. And we just, our hearts and prayers go out to all the community, to all of our local elected officials who have been impacted and will continue to be impacted by these acts of this weekend, and to thank our local law enforcement for being ready to really stand by and drive by our residents, so we would feel, they would know that we were trying to be safe. So just thanks to everyone, to our county manager, to everyone who was really watching out for the local elected officials in our area and everywhere. So just much gratitude for all of that as we all are dealing with this really difficult time. And I was lucky to be in community on Saturday, as the horrible events were unfolding, but I mean, we already knew that they had unfolded. I was fortunate to be in community at the Juneteenth Festival, where the community came together, honored the victims, and gave moments of silence. But I want to thank the City of Roseville, Do Good Roseville, Excel Energy, M Health Fairview, UCare, Bremer, Alina Health, all who helped sponsor the Juneteenth Festival that happened at Roseville, the many vendors, the food, and all the artists that presented. It was a great event. Also, Ramsey County League of Local Governments met on Friday. I want to give a shout out to Abby Phillips, our Climate and Health Program Supervisor, who presented, Noel Bakken, our Sustainability Specialist at Roseville, and many others on a panel, talked about the impacts of climate resilience in action. It was really important meeting. We also had a District 10 meeting yesterday, which I think most of us were at. This is the 7-county metro area, all the commissioners from those counties, and put on by the Association of Minnesota Counties. We all we were reflecting on the events of the weekend most of the time, but then heard updates from AMC on what's on the session and the work that we're all working on together. So it was a really cathartic and great event, District 10, and just say that we, County Manager Becker and I, did the Lauderdale City Council and Little Canada City Council meetings, and those cities continue to appreciate the work that we're doing and that the county manager is present at those updates of county work to our cities. And just want to say that I'm looking forward to meeting with Representative McCollum, Congresswoman McCollum this week in different ways. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Jevin Singh?
Yes. As we all have many things we do all week, I'm just going to skim over that and apologize to anybody who was hoping for a shout out. And I do want to thank North Oak City Council for hosting us last week. And then also to lift up, I have the honor of being at St. Paul Pride with NAMI Ramsey and Hennepin County at their table. It was wonderful to see our county and other community partners representing in community, even though the spirits of the day were somewhat dampened. And then I also want to just direct folks to the newsletter. There's a couple of events that I really want to lift up for Pride and then Juneteenth that are coming up. Friday in Mounds View, there's June 20th, there's a Juneteenth community picnic and celebration. And then on Saturday, I want to lift up Freedom Day in Vadnais Heights, and that's on Saturday, this Saturday, June 21st from 5 to 8 at Kohler Meadows Park. And I wanted to say that our very own Alexis Varner, who's my principal aide, is one of the founding and driving forces behind that community festival. And then I just also want to say, coming from a bit of mental health and trauma background, I asked for grace and space as our Jennifer O'Rourke had used that phrase yesterday as we were all gathered together. When we look at the multitudes of folks who are impacted by this political violence, it's young staffers who are in our office who get really close to the officials that they work with. It's the elected volunteers and the family members of electeds. We sign up to do this work as colleagues had said yesterday when we were debriefing, and we understand that people will disagree with our values, they'll disagree with what we say, they may even hate the actions that we take, but we don't sign up for them to hate us or our families or to harm us or our families. And so as we go through this work, I just ask for that grace and space for any of the electeds and the people in public service that you may be interacting with, that this is going to reverberate and be part of how we do our work going forward. So we just appreciate that grace and space as we continue to move forward.
Thank you. Following this meeting, we have a closed session on our litigation report. And then at 1:30, Commissioner Kelly is going to chair a workshop on the Ramsey Washington Recycling and Energy Joint Activities Budgets. We are adjourned.